There we go. All right, where am I? I'm all discombobulated. It's not like my regular setup. All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome to Friendly Fire Podcast, episode 14. The last one we did was the Hardline beta, so you can tell we rapid fire the episodes here. This is Hardline release or launch impressions. Haven't done my impressions video yet. I don't think any of you gentlemen did. I know, Brett, you're not big on the impressions videos, but Sully and Darth probably have them cooking, I would imagine, maybe?
I can't really do an impressions video so much. I might do something similar to it, but
I'm
not
try
quite.
to do one, but I'm not exactly sure. I was going to do it over the weekend, but I'm not sure if I'll get to it. But anyway, you're going to get a big chunk and big serving tonight, I think. You'll leave here with a good idea how we all stand, I would think. So, first I want to just send a shout out to Puppy. He's not here tonight. He's usually my co-host. I've never done a podcast without him. It's actually his anniversary. I think it's today, he said. So they're out celebrating. So congratulations to you, Puppy and Michelle. Thank you for normally hosting me, but now we've got these three hooligans stepping in for you. So he also didn't pick up Hardline, so he didn't feel like he should be sitting in with us. So have
Well,
a
he
good
has
night,
to play
Pup.
Destiny.
Enjoy. Play that objective, Puppy.
Somebody
have a good night, all right, man? Otherwise, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to introduce I'm going to go left to right probably all night long, so don't feel bad if you're always going last, Sully. I'm joined by BrettFX, prolific shoutcaster of Battlefield 4. Did you shoutcast Battlefield 3? I think you did a little bit, right? Or you played competitive Battlefield 3?
I started casting Battlefield 3 about 6 months before the game Battlefield 4 came out. Yeah,
like when the free cam and stuff came out.
Yeah.
Right? So Battlefield 4...
before that, we cast it on YouTube. We actually would gather people's points of views, and then we would sync them together, and then we would cast over that, and then, oh man, it was a nightmare. I'm never doing that again. Never happening again.
So, yeah, he's bringing the competitive angle, but a little more, a little different perspective. I tried to get a console guy, but I didn't really know too many guys that had picked it up, unfortunately. Meanwhile, the numbers are like huge on console. It's just the people I know, I guess. Join once again.
Ass pick. He's like, I'm trying to get a console guy, but there's that Brett guy. We'll go.
Yeah, kind of. Well, I just tried to balance it out. I didn't know who else. I was like, I should probably get a console, because Puppy usually fills that role for me. He's usually the console guy. So I was like, I should replace like with like. But I was like, yeah, we'll go with the competitive angle. So there you go. That works. But I announced you first, so that's all that counts. Joined once again by Darth, who you got like 3 or 4 weeks here, and we haven't cured you yet. So 3 or 4 episodes, I should say. So
yeah, I am best attendance ever for all of it.
You got the nice warm ambiance going over there. It's you need like a fireplace back there or something. It'd be really nice atmosphere.
I could just set my my furniture on fire. That would do it.
Yeah. All right. And we're joined by Salty Gaming, or better known as Sully.
Yes.
That's the last time. I think it's gotten better. Has it not? You were not too happy. No? All right. We'll get into that. I was hoping it would for you. I was hoping you just had a bad day at work the other night. So.
We'll talk more.
All right. Guys, everything's going to be linked down below. You can check out these gentlemen on YouTube, Twitch, and I have their Twitter handles. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of those. I think that's what it is. No, actually, Illis. I think you're just Illis, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm Sully. I'm Sully backwards.
Yeah, I got sorry. Drop the gaming. You're probably finding that way anyway, I think. On Twitter.
Yeah, if you Sully Gaming, Google that, you'll find me.
All right, cool. Sorry about that. So thank you guys for coming out. We are going to obviously talk about Hardline here primarily, the launch impressions. I got some big block topics. If you guys have questions, send it just to @culprit. It'll be all nice and highlighted to me, and obviously I'll notice it a little better. We're going to cover the big topics, and then towards the end we're going to get to nitty-gritty, kind of with something more detailed. And then if we do have time, I know we were just talking about this, we're going to talk about a little bit, maybe speculate on competitive, as we're kind of seeing hyped so much, but not sure if the support is behind that. But we'll get to that. Or if we don't, we'll do it kind of as a post-show, and we'll get into that, which, yes, I do have everything set up properly. I'm just looking at my post-show label. So without further ado, let's get in and talk about just general impressions, guys. Just tell if you're liking it, disliking it, just real broad strokes, and then like I said, we'll break it down. I have things broken down into kind of more specific topics. But Brett, what are you thinking of Hardline so far? I think you said you had like 9 or 10 hours, you said, right?
Yeah, I got about 10 hours or so in it. But
your thumbs up, your thumbs down?
Well, as a public game, yeah, it's fun. It's great. I'm enjoying it as a public game. There's a couple of modes on there that I don't agree with. Hotwire is the biggest one, but as a competitive game, I don't see much there for it. There's pretty much, I think that maybe there's a chance for Conquest to come back for Battlefield Hardline. Kind of went away in Battlefield 4 because the maps were so bad for it. But as being a consistent competitive game, that's not going to happen. The hitboxes are way off. Yeah. Not even getting into the whole netcode or anything like that, but it's just not competitive in my opinion. If it went back to more of a Battlefield 3 approach, it would have been a lot better. but it's just not there.
Yeah, but you personally, like I said, yeah, I think we
As
can
a
all
public
agree.
game, I am enjoying the hell out of it.
Okay.
I mean, like tonight, all night tonight so far, I think for like the past 2 hours, I've been playing just public Conquest, and I've been enjoying it. I've been having a blast with it. But as
The
far
guy
as
that gets Hardline and plays Conquest.
yeah, yeah, I know. I'm probably one of the only ones. In fact, there's only 4 servers on in North America that I could find that had players in them. So yeah, I'm probably one of the few that actually just sticks with Conquest all the
Somebody
time.
told me that on my stream, and I was like, why am I doing this? I should probably, but I mean, some of them are good because some of them only fleet 3 flags, and you still get the same vibe going. But cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a big split down the middle of what's good, what's not.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of split on a lot of issues tonight. Darth, how are you feeling? I think you were a little more positive the other night.
Yeah, I think the issues that we knew we were going to have with the game, we knew that we were going to have the game in the beta, and the beta from last year even. Or not last year, this past June. It feels like a year ago. It feels like it's been in development forever. But the general impression I have of Hardline is, like Brett said, I'm having fun in pub servers, but my main problem is mostly just a bunch of people not knowing how to play the game and driving me crazy when I try to play objective play. This is particularly bad on the smaller game modes that aren't Conquest, that people seem to be generally familiar with. That'll go away with time, but it's just been one of my major frustrations. I think I have more material from my Rage Mode videos from Hardline than any other spate of gaming ever.
So let me just say, I have had such a divergence from that. I have had the best teammates in Hardline that I've ever had. Now, maybe it's because I'm, streaming during the day right now a lot. When normal... I don't know, man. I have had the best teammates. It's bizarre. I say
It's
to my chat all the time.
Euros.
Yeah, it's all those
It must be,
Europeans.
right? I've been carried,
All that social
revived,
welfare bread
oh my
makes
God,
them happy people.
Because I've been playing like garbage. I didn't even hear what you said. I'm throwing you out. But because I've been playing bad. I'll fully admit it. I'm getting slowly better as my head becomes wrapping around it. But I'm like, holy crap! My teammates are so good. And so, I guess that's just the thing that I've gotten lucky with, unfortunately. All right, go ahead, Sully. Are you done, Darth? I thought you were trailed off.
No,
Right.
yeah, that's.
How you feeling overall with Battlefield Hardline?
So I am enjoying it a lot more than I thought I did, but I would agree with Darth on the fact that there are a lot of more complicated game modes, and where you need to focus as a player switches so quickly.
Everything is so quick,
dramatically, that it's going to be very frustrating for general pub people who are used to playing TDM. Like for Hotwire, and Darth and I were talking about this maybe last night, where it just ends up being TDM in the middle because a bunch of people on foot are just chasing the cars. So the focus, I feel, is kind of weird. Yeah, exactly. Where do I go? Do I shoot this now? So it's. I think right now, between the beta, I was excited coming out of the beta, but now it's a little.
Yeah, you were high on it. You were one of the reasons I bought it.
I loved it.
I was surprised at that. That's why I'm surprised.
Find out why I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, that's why I was a little surprised at your reaction the other night. But I mean, I think. Like you said, see, this is what's weird. It's I like what you're saying, the subtleties of strategy that are on the fly that happen really quick. But I like that. To me, it's gonna be something to sink my teeth into. And as far as content, make videos about the non-obvious, slap this on this gun, aim at people, or the video we saw. I'm not gonna name names, but how to level up fast was to put on boosts. It's I can't do that stuff anymore. I don't care enough about my count. So, but the idea of everybody's blood money. You go and get the money. You run it to your vault dirt. But there's subtleties in there that there's different strategies, and I like, and hopefully it'll give me stuff to talk about. Is what I'm excited about. But you're right. I mean, it does change really fast.
Yeah, and I think the scale of the maps and the scale of the game modes, which we'll talk about, I'm sure later, factor into that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, I guess the quick way to say it is on a game mode like Heist, where the focus for defense switches so quickly and so drastically, you have a smaller team to make it a better game mode, but that means that you're dependent on a lot of bluebies to know what the heck's going on.
Yeah. I also feel like I have a little bit of a better ability to have an influence, and that's one of the things I liked in the beta is, obviously smaller player counts, which I hope will settle at somewhere. People still seem very stubborn to the 64, which I don't quite get. Maybe it's just the new consoles finally getting that, and they just can't tone it down a little bit or whatever. But I don't think I've played 64 yet. Even 32 on a lot of these maps are too much. But I feel like I can influence a match a lot more as a solo lone wolf guy. Which then, like I've said with us, if we're playing as a squad, I feel like we can go off and carry, which that's fun too. But like you said, I guess if you're not having a good game, that can be equally as bad. So let's get into. So it's Brett. You're kind of 50-50. You're liking it personally. You're liking it as a casual kind of pub and game. Competitive, you're not sold yet. I think that's fair. Darth, I think you're a little higher on it. You're just kind of shrugging things off, which is kind of your personality. And Sully, I think I'm in between. I think Darth and Sully here, like where Sully's a little more critical, which everybody blames me to be, and gets frustrated at people. But you can't patch people, unfortunately. That's kind of somebody that does will be making a lot of monies. So then let's get right into some of these are kind of the bigger analysis things, and then like I said, we'll get into the smaller stuff. But let's start off with a good one, shall we? Actually, I should say that I don't think we're gonna slay this game that badly, but let's start off with something good: stability and bugs. I have not experienced anything. I mean, I've heard things, I've seen things on Twitter.
Anything that was
outside of.
Well, let's just say stability, crashing. Has anybody crashed?
I haven't crashed. No.
Yeah. Okay.
One time.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, I think that's a little bit to be expected, but nothing on the scale of Battlefield 4 at all. And maybe that's not fair. Like I have such a low bar that I'm just like, yay, you work.
Well, let's be honest with you. Who's had a worse launch than Battlefield 4?
Right.
Maybe SimCity?
Right. I was gonna say
SimCity. That's about it.
Yeah.
Diablo
Hey,
may come to a close one there, but I mean, other than that, like there's not very many AAA games that have come out that had that big of a fail of a launch.
Well, that's what's funny is like everybody said leading up, they're like, oh, poor Visceral. They're getting the DICE hangover. Everybody's hating on Visceral because of that. But now that they're out, they kind of get this like everybody's got this like ankle high bar, and it's like, wow, you work. So they're getting some of that like Halo effect. Where,
I can
like
play the game. Yeah,
I can log in, which I guess some people. I mean, I had a problem with Battle Log that was a nightmare. But yeah, actually, I guess that's the only tech issue I've had. But stability-wise and crashing, we've had between the four of us in 40 or 50 hours, we've had 2 or 3 crashes. It's pretty good for just about any game, I would say. Now, bugs,
I've had about 5 crashes myself.
Have you really? Okay.
Oh yeah. Probably the worst was.
We're all on PC too, by the way. Just
probably the worst was around Tuesday and Wednesday. I crashed, I think 2 times about in an hour on Tuesday, and then when I was trying to do some scrims on Wednesday, I crashed about 2 or 3 times then. So now it hasn't happened today. I didn't get on Thursday or Friday, but it hasn't happened today. I played 2 hours straight with no crashing, so it may have been something that I had to work through with my computer or something. I don't know, but I was
that's
crashing.
Always the thing. But yeah, but I think we've seen. I've definitely heard of. I haven't seen many. You guys will probably say something. I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that. I've heard that Heist is pretty buggy. Like Heist won't end when the team gets the win, and then you got to play down TDM, and then obviously the criminals will lose because they're the only ones with limited tickets.
That's not exactly a bug. So, in those Heist matches, most likely the tickets are not at standard 100. Most of the time, they're bumped up further. Here's the thing: if you've played in Small Obliteration, you know that the game actually ends at 2 bombs instead of 3. That's because the ticket count is set at 67. When the ticket counter is set at 67, that 3rd bomb doesn't have to be exploded, just like in Heist. So if you have, like, say for instance, the ticket counter is below 50 in Heist, you only have to take 1 package to the helicopter to win the game. Works the other way. If I extend that to 150 to 200, then I have to have 3-4 packages to win the game. Obviously, it doesn't respawn 4 packages,
That's what I was
so
saying.
therefore you have to play it down. The developers did not tell people that, and because the developers are allowing you to tweak that aspect of the game,
but
it's introducing this bug.
It's not. So you're telling me it's not respawning bombs. It's not respawning the helicopters.
It's not. No, it's not respawning the packages that you have to take. So you can take both packages, but then you have
3.
to have 2 more because the tickets say, "Hey, we're at 200," which means that there should be 4 objectives.
So at the start of the match, they're losing. No matter what happens, whatever plays out.
If you see a Heist server that has more than 100 tickets, don't go into it because you will lose if you're on the criminal side.
Yeah, because they're the only one that can lose ticket-wise. So yeah,
exactly.
Interesting. I haven't heard that. So there you go.
It's not a bug per se. It's just that they didn't explain this in the server settings, and they didn't lock it at 100 when they released the gameplay. So therefore, it's
if that's the case,
it's a bug like Y2K was a bug.
I mean, it has to be. It's just bad design. It's
wow.
Yeah,
it is bad design, and the reason why I found it was because I'm trying to tweak the game mode for competitive. So the first thing I did is I went into Heist and I limited the tickets down to 40 tickets. An 8 minutes timer. Well, we started having matches ending with 1 package. We're like, whoa. 3 minutes into the game and it's already ending. This is not right. And it was like that every single round. And we were testing it, and sure enough, one guy, all he had to do is take 1 package of the helicopter in the game.
I guess that makes sense because I heard
tickets.
I heard they had problems with people just saying, screw that flag, we're going to just camp this flag. you need 2 to win. So I mean, I guess a little bit of that, but yeah, it's kind of. I mean, I would love to see them let the money keep respawning. I would love to play like a 300 ticket. You need 4 bags to win, because one of my gripes of Heist is that it ends so quickly. So I would be interesting, but if they're not going to do that, they certainly have to lock it. So I don't know how to file that away, but
that's something that you're just going to have to tell Thad, and hope that they get it fixed. Because, like I said, it's not necessarily a bug. It's just something that they didn't foresee.
How are they going to fix it?
You're
either
absolutely
going to lock
right.
it or respawn.
One of the things is that these game modes, people are using 64-player on these game modes when they're not meant for that. You know, they're not meant to have that many people into it. But PC players, admins, they're like, you know what? First thing I want to do is throw 64-player Conquest on freaking block, because everybody loves a big freaking nade fest. That's just perfect. Or, you know, they'll sit there and you know, I mean, they'll find the smallest game modes and they're like, let's ramp it up to as many people as we can. It's just something that PC admins do.
Yeah, right, sure. And it's funny because they're paying for those extra slots. You think at least, you know, that people would be like, well, this sucks. But you can't. Can you fault admins because people play it? I don't understand it, but people search it. So I mean, they wouldn't do it if people didn't populate it, right? So, all right. So what else do we got? We got any other bugs that are like pretty big? I'm sure I'm not.
Yeah, anything that wasn't in the fall patch or anything before the fall patch for Battlefield 4 when they did the split. I'm assuming for the 2 code bases, that's not in Hardline right now. So you have all the fun stuff that we fixed in the fall patch, not in Hardline. So there's a bunch of netcode stuff that's not yet in there, but sounds like it will be eventually. But yeah,
you have to imagine it's right there. It's on the shelf. It's just got.
It's like going back in time a little bit.
It is. It's weird, and because if Battlefield 4 hadn't have done it, I don't think we would have been so. Well, no, you're talking about the fall patch. I'm thinking of the one we just did.
No, it's an iteration even before that.
Micro patch?
Because I'll tell you what, they need to get the squad spawn or the spawn in combat thing fixed. Because the smaller maps, more people, more going on, it's a bigger problem in Hardline, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, all right. So I didn't have anything written down here because I hadn't really seen a ton. I'm sure I'll think as we discuss other things. Anybody else have any glaring other bugs that are annoying?
Yeah, I mean, there's still some old bugs that'll always be in the game, in my opinion, because it's an engine based.
Yeah.
The reload glitch is still there.
I've heard jamming and stuff too is still there.
Well, I don't know about the jamming or anything, but the reload glitch where you're trying to reload and it still has the same amount that you had before. That's always annoying. There's some small physics issues that I've seen. I mean, points where you shoot a guy and he just freezes in place, so you end up wasting a half a mag on the guy because you think he's still alive, but hey, guess what? You actually killed him.
Oh, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just stuff like that is just really annoying.
I tweeted I shot a guy who was prone, and as I killed him, he sat up.
Yeah. The glitch where the Conquest. I don't know if you guys played a whole lot of Conquest back in Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3 even. This is a Battlefield 3 thing too, but the Conquest icon and the flag will still flash saying that it's being contested or taken when actually it's not. Yep. That's happened to me. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, just stuff that you would think that by now they should be able to have fixed. It's still in this game. It's like 3 games. Like, wow.
Well, let's talk about what I hope I don't know, Brett. What have they just said that they are looking at? I know they said RPGs, explosive spam and Hotwire. There was 3 things. I should have pulled it up.
RPGs, TDM spawns, and what was the other one?
I can't recall. Maybe chat can tell me. But we'll. Let's talk a little bit about then we'll move on a little bit because, like I said, we got a lot of things to talk about here. Pace and time to kill. I'm going to bundle these together. Clearly, pace is a lot faster. There's multiple reasons why. Smaller maps. Just the time to kill is so much smaller. What are we feeling about this? Does anybody here really I think most of us were kind of being Battlefield guys. We don't like the super short time to kill. Something we can live with. Are we happy with how the engine's supporting? Because that was one of my biggest fears. I didn't think the engine could support the short time to kill. Go ahead,
so
you
there is a fix coming, and it's in the CTA now, and I don't think it's in Battlefield Hardline, where the refresh rate of you sending updates to the server for your bullets is linked to your actual frame rate.
It's not in there. I guarantee you it's not in Hardline.
So that should help some of the problems, especially with people who have crappy connections from Brazil or Australia and they're playing on American servers. Right. I see Sully smirking over there slightly. So that'll be interesting if they get that in there. But as far as the time to kill goes in the game, I'm okay-ish with it. Obviously, it causes a ton of problems, especially in the Frostbite engine, just because of the way it is. Specifically, The trading of kills is amped up a lot. I'm sure you've seen it multiple times per match now. You will die a lot more thinking you're around a corner, but you're not. But yeah, anything that happens when you up the TTK so much, which is what they got away with the fall patch, you're going to have those problems reemerge in a very major way.
Yeah, I've heard with the Chris, you guys know Chris from Battle Nonsense. I've seen him, he's like testing it, I guess, and he's kind of one of the few YouTubers I'll actually, trust on things like this. I think he said he's seeing a reduction of 50% in in time sent for the data. So, I mean, if it pans out, and then they add that from server back to client, we could actually see a marked improvement, hopefully. I mean, I don't want to get excited or anything, but anything will help at this point.
That's fine, but then they've also added a ton of high RPM weapons.
Well, right. That's the thing that
confounds me. So the data is one thing, but the kind of weapons that they have in there doing more than 1,000 rounds a minute is also messing things up.
Yeah,
they already can't gun balance at some point. So Thomas in Battlefield 4 breaks the engine.
I can't make sense of the gun balance. I really can't.
The Kate's end makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, they lowered the time to kill, obviously. They raised the damage, raised the fire rates. They've put everybody in closer. So they're really going for a vision here. That's pretty clear. So
then they add an extra 4 seconds before you spawn. So it is so frustrating to get used to that. And that's not so much that's like a personal player going from one game to another. But it's so weird to be like, all right, I get in there and I kill. Like, okay, died. All right, let me get back in there. 5 seconds. So,
yeah. Well, that's my thing. As long as the engine can support it, I mean, I'm not a low time to kill or short time to kill guy. I don't like it. It kind of nerfs some of what I do, at least adequately. But if the engine can support it and I choose to play the game, I'll adapt to it. But that was always my concern, is the engine. And I find it peculiar that they announced this refresh rate, thing right here, right at release. And I know this was talked about before this, because I heard rumblings about this. So it's a little interesting how they did that.
One of the things, though, I think that you guys are mistaking, the CTE for Battlefield 4 is not the CTE for Hardline. They are two separate entities. So what happens in CTE Battlefield 4 is not necessarily going to happen in CTE Battlefield Hardline. And the updates that you see for Battlefield 4 are not necessarily going to make it in for Hardline. They're two different things. They're two different teams working on it. So don't look at CTE Battlefield 4 and go, that's going to make it into Hardline, because that's not true. It may not ever be in the Hardline.
It also may not ever be in Battlefield 4, but it's the game engine development team testing what could actually make the game engine better.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on a lot of things.
So when we're talking about like client to server or server to client rates and like that exact iteration may not make it into Hardline, but that has lessons that could be learned.
Well, I think if that works, it has to go in everything. Of shooters anyway. But yeah, certain things I definitely don't think will transfer. I mean, like I said, I don't want to get hopeful for it, but.
Yeah, the only reason I say this one is going to make it in is because the designer on the CT was very specific about saying that this fix was from the Visceral team.
Oh, okay.
My thing is on the time to kill stuff, I wanted it to kind of be a little bit less towards body shots. So anything below the head, I think needs to be a little bit increased. But I do think I love the fact that headshots feel just so fast. I think that headshots need to be something that you prioritize. That makes a little bit of a skill gap between a good player that can go mid chest to a great player that can hit headshots very consistently. And I play with guys all the time, since Battlefield 3 that can hit headshots ridiculously consistent, and they're not cheating. They're just that freaking good. And those guys should be rewarded for being able to hit those. I also like the I like the guns. The guns feel really good. As far as the PDWs, I don't really see a problem with them, to be honest with you. At range, you can destroy them. At close range, they'll destroy you. Yeah, it seems like it's about 60% of the time they'll win the gunfight on me every single time. But they need to. They're giving up that long range, mid range, long range capability to be able to just put the smackdown on you at close range.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that about it.
Well, you could say the same thing about shotguns. I mean, shotguns are super, super frustrating when you're on the cash pile trying to take the cash. Of course they are, but as much as I hate shotguns, and I've gone on my pulpit to say delete them out of games entirely and I'd be okay. I mean, I have spun on shotguns a lot at even 15 yards. They really drop off. So it's hard to, if you see people raging and you're like, dude, you're picking up cash from this cash pile in a second, like a room. Of course they're gonna win in that engagement. And you have the M16. It's like, can we just step back and think a little bit? But
the shotguns need to be toned down in terms of range.
See, I feel like
that's
they
the
were.
biggest problem
I feel like they were.
with the shotguns. Shotguns need to be as powerful as they are, but they need to tone down the range. I've been shot from way, way, way too far away with shotguns before, going back and forth, when they should not have been able to do the damage that they have.
My thing, the thing I've had more with shotguns is I've died to like leg shots, and I'm like, okay, you know, I think you know the kill cam probably tells you the fatal shot, I guess, you know, but I'm just like I get one shot at it, and I'm just like you're showing me a leg shot, which for all we know isn't accurate anyway. But I was just like, you know, that's interesting. I'll take the one shot if the guy gets me in the center of the chest from 10 meters. Okay, I'll just shrug it off. But my leg, when I was behind cover, you know. But you know, I'm not. Well, I guess I will segue right into that because my next one is gunplay and attachments. And if you want to comment on the time to kill it and the pacing, so I mean, the gunplay, like I said, I'm with you, Brett. I like it. I like that the guns are a little different. I don't. You know, I'm still wrapping my head around the attachments. We were just talking about the extra mags, how it doesn't really say that they add this whole big spread increase. So once, you know, you got to get into the numbers and figure that out. And of course, you know, what is it? The muzzle brake now basically operates like the compensator did in Battlefield 4. So everything's a little confusing as far as attachments go. But I like the recoil. But I don't quite understand some of the balancing as far as like the 416 is a great example. You know, it's got the higher fire rate, but then it's also got this weird damage model that like makes it pretty lethal at range. Like, I don't understand what they did here and what they were going for, but what do you guys think about the gunplay and the attachments? We'll just lump those together as well. Sully, what do you got? You got something? You've been kind of quiet.
No, I mean, I
shaking your head.
No, I don't have a thought on this right now.
What's everybody's favorite gun, then? Let's start with that. What's everybody been kind of maining?
I've been switching between the M16 and 416 and the ACR.
Yeah,
I've
I
been
think
switching
everybody
between those three.
was rocking the ACR for the first couple days.
Well, the ACR is just a freaking laser beam. That thing is retarded in terms of no recoil. But no, I think the biggest change that they've made in the gunplay is, one, they've taken out the suppression effect. So that's gone, and that feels a lot better too. They've reduced the amount of spread that happened in the guns, or at least it feels like it to me. I don't know the exact stats. And they have increased a little bit on the recoil, but it's manageable. It's gone back to because they've gotten rid of, I think, the only visual recoil I think is on the Cobra sight. They said that was a glitch, should be fixed in their next patch. Yeah, the Cobra sight they said introduces a little bit of visual recoil, but the other sights are the way they're supposed to be. But you know, instead of adding that weird visual recoil or the random bullet deviation or the spread, they've went more for a recoil type pattern. So now in most guns, you know, where your red dot is pointing, that's where your bullets are going, which makes it easier for people to be able to learn how to control that, which creates a skill gap, which is something that BF4 I think, you know, really missed, was not having that skill gap. So now people that, you know, yeah, okay, you know, ACR may be like the best gun ever because there's no recoil to it, but you know, a person, you know, there's a little bit to it, but a person who actually learns how to control it to make no recoil is going to have such an advantage, and he should have an advantage for that. The AK, I know there's a couple of competitive guys that are saying that they really like the AKM because it just has it just packs so much punch to it.
If you can control it, if you can harness it, it's going to be
and you know, they've basically been saying the same thing. When I learn how to control the recoil on this, I'm going to destroy people, just destroy them, and that's the way it should be. And I think that they went the right direction in that effect with the guns and the gunplay and the feel of it. I think it still could be a little bit tighter and crisper when you're playing, but it's still a lot better than what we had in Battlefield 4, even after the patch in October when they did get rid of a lot of that visual recoil stuff.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think they added skill gap in there. I think it takes, you know, there are, you know, even guys are mentioning Scar H. What's the OSW? All the what the fuck's it called? Enforcer now? Is that the support kit now?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yes. Those things hit. It's like 42, 43, 45 damage, but they kick like a mule. So if you can handle it, you've got a lot of damage. You got to, you know. But I mean, I'm struggling with it until I get attachments. But yeah, like you said, the AKM I think is what you're talking about. It has a lot of damage, but man, it can be a lot harder to handle. Whereas you want to go to the guns that are easier to handle, you're gonna have a little bit of a trade off there. So I'm okay with that. It just doesn't seem to be a lot of rhyme or reason to how they balance things. So I mean, I'm liking the 416 the best myself. The ACWR is fine. It has a little too much horizontal recoil for me, so I'm kind of liking the 416, which is mostly vertical. But it's kind of like personal preference at that point. I mean, you mentioned that they got rid of suppression, but I feel like, and this is going to kind of segue, but we'll stick here for a little bit. They took out suppression, but they added like a ridiculous amount of screen shake with explosions and this gas, and it's like I feel like I'm always suppressed anyway now. I mean, that could have something to do with the maps, but
the thing is though is that what did you have the counter suppression?
Right.
Absolutely
You
nothing.
do a mask
What
at
do you
least.
have the counter gas? You have the gas mask. So at least they put a counter in there. Now, as for the screen shake, in my opinion, every game that has screen shake in it should have the option to turn it off. I don't know why they think that screen shake makes the game more immersive or better in any way. It does. It detracts
don't play their
from
game.
me. It makes me feel sick. I mean, that's what
They
it
probably
does.
don't add an option to turn it off simply so that they don't have a knowledge gap of people who are like, oh, hey, screen shake's off, and people
Probably a
who
huge
don't know
advantage,
about it. Yeah, it would be a giant difference between the two, especially because of the dum-dums that they probably don't have.
I would love to have them add that in there. I would play in unranked private servers all the time if that was the case. Like, I wouldn't even care to be ranking up and playing public with the idiots. So that would be happy with for me. But touching on though with the guns and the attachments. Now, this is something that I was really happy about. Battlefield 3 had, I think, the perfect amount of attachments and weapons. I think that it didn't overwhelm the person in terms of attachments. And a lot of the attachments that you had in Battlefield 4 do the exact same thing.
Right.
Do the exact same thing, just called a different name and look a little different.
Just so they can
Makes
put it on the back of the
absolutely
box.
no sense why they're in there. Battlefield Hardline, they've ripped out a lot of that trash that was in there. They've limited the amount of guns that are going to be in there. They're probably going to come out with more guns in
They
DLC.
clearly
But
will
I
come
think
out,
that makes the guns coming out in DLC easier to differentiate than what you have in the base game, and therefore people are going to be excited about them. So I like what they did in terms of limiting the guns, limiting the attachments. It feels better. It feels like that when they do come out with DLC, that stuff's actually going to matter, because I don't know about you guys, every single time DLC came out, I never even touched the guns. It just didn't even matter to me, because I knew that one gun was basically going to do the exact same thing as the one they had previously.
Right. It was
in
just
vanilla.
reskins of something we already had.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about, they obviously took a little deviation here, and so I don't know if you had something to add there, but with the attachments, like, what is it? It's like the grips, right? They have nothing negative to them anymore. It's all buffs. There's no real do you like that, or do you think there should be some kind of balance?
Do we have detractions for the grips in
Hold on one
Battlefield
sec, guys.
4?
I don't know if they
you
had-
do, like the stubby would be it gives you, what is it? It gives you, the stubbies are automatic fire, but you get a larger spread or something. Hold on.
I don't think that the grips, the attachments, should have any kind of negative effect. I would be perfectly happy if there was no attachments at all and they just gave you a base gun, and this gun did that. I'm one of the old style FPS guys where you had a gun, it did this. If you wanted something stronger that had better range, you went to that gun. You didn't attach something on it to make it happen. It kind of feels like I'm playing dress up or something with my M16, and I'm not a dress up kind of person. I just plain Jane, let's go. And for me, I don't really see any reason why them not adding negatives to the attachments is going to hurt the gameplay at all.
Well, I think my only gripe is they don't describe them very well. It's in game and on Battlelog, it's kind of worthless, to be honest. But
to a certain extent, you just have to get out there and try them. I mean, I don't even look at stats. For Battlefield 4, I didn't look at stats. I said, what feels good? Okay, this setup feels good. And then you can go to a YouTube channel and they'll describe the exact same thing to you, but they do it with 27,000 different pages of stats. And it's just like, if you just played with it, bam, there you go, you got it.
Yeah, you got to formulate your own opinion. But then I do like to dive into the numbers, probably to my detriment, to be honest. We had a question from chat. What do you guys think about the snipers? Scout Elite seems to be the best sniper out there. I've died to it a lot, and I died to it instantly. I died to it without a noise or a hit detection.
It's chamber time.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
To it a lot.
Does it deserve a nerf?
You've died to it a lot because it's the base gun.
Yeah, is that what
It's
it is? I don't know,
like,
so I'm not
it's
a
just like
sniper.
M16 in Battlefield 3, base gun. You died to it a lot at the beginning. I mean, that was the only thing you died to. Well, yeah, because it's the only thing that's there. I mean, just give it a couple weeks, let people branch out into other stuff, and see how it feels. But to me, sniping is huge. I mean, I love it in Battlefield Hardline. Reminds me of Battlefield 3 sniping. It feels good. It's responsive. I feel like that I can hold my own in a close quarter engagement if I have to. And I mean, they got rid of the delay when you zoom in with your scope and try and quick scope. You know what I'm talking about? Battlefield 4, you would still have that bullet would like trail off, or it'd be like if you were still hip firing. That's gone. I mean, you can truly quick scope now, and it's just a lot better to me. But I'm a very aggressive person when I do play, so that really does tailor towards me. I don't have a problem with it. I've died plenty of times to snipers, and I've died a lot to snipers going into aggressive recon type play. It doesn't bug me a bit. If they can do it, let them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is one of the positive things I had. I think it plays into what we said about the beta was they've managed ranged combat so much better in Hardline, right? There are so many different weapons. It goes down to PDWs are really, really good in close range. Assault rifles are decent in range. Carbines are decent in range. But the sniper rifles, they are competent, and the Scout is something that we're seeing a lot of because it's the base gun, but it's not like you're going to get beamed across the map. So it seems to be a decent balance in that regard in terms of how they treat ranged combat, particularly in like open maps like Dust Bowl.
Yeah,
Now,
I definitely think there's. Go ahead.
Does it feel like to you guys that they have slowed down the bullet travel of the sniper rifles?
I have
because it feels like I have to lead people a lot more than what I did in Battlefield 4. It just feels like it. It may have been something that they have changed in it. But
One second,
like
let me look at the numbers.
Slower.
As I was saying, I feel like it's easier to lead
slightly.
targets.
Looks like about 25% off of Battlefield 4.
So they lowered it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm right.
So we've got a feel guy, we've got a numbers guy here, clearly.
No, I gotta be the numbers guy.
Has
what I do.
Simkit come out with their stuff yet?
Yeah, they have it up there. It's in the ballpark. Yeah, it's maybe about a 10% decrease. It depends on which ones you're looking at.
It feels it's not bad. It just feels a little slower.
Yeah,
See,
the numbers here are about 440 meters per second to about 550 meters per second for the hardline weapons. Wait, hang on here. Am I looking at the right one? Yeah, I'm looking at the right one. But yeah, it's a little bit of a difference. They're a little bit slower in hardline.
Why is your cat on the ceiling, Darth?
See, ceiling cat. There's a tree there.
I can't say I've seen any quickscoping snipers. I don't recall that I've been victimized by that, so that'll be interesting to see. But I'm okay with, like you said, if they can pull that off and like get 2, 3, and then get out alive, hey, more power to them. Because you're obviously going to have the advantage up close on them, especially in this game if you have the right weapon. So I definitely think like Sully's saying, there's a paper rock scissors kind of thing going on here where you got to sit and think, like, what am I trying to do here? Am I going in and getting the money, or am I getting, or am I going to provide kind of an overwatch for my guys that are going in and getting the money, which I like. I welcome that entirely. We're going to move on. If you guys have anything else to add, we're going to go and talk about some gadgets, which I think this is a little more wide open for some impressions here. What do you guys think about the gadget system they've done here? Good, bad, ugly?
They definitely tried to be a little bit more creative this time around. And if you are playing as the engineer and you're not using the 50% damage reduction gadget, you're crazy.
Unless Hotwire. When you need that rep tool for sure.
Right. Yeah, no, there's reasons to not use it. But for the most part, if you're actually playing infantry combat,
even then, people were saying on Hotwire, you might want to run Survivalist, which I used to. You guys probably saw my tweet. I think it's the stupidest perk I've ever seen in a first-person shooter, but I could see it working on Hotwire, I suppose. But I mean, at least they did just make it for explosives. But still, I can't tell you how many times I killed the guy with a nade, which I'm amazed that people are even running it. They must not realize that it's just for that. And the guy gets up and kills me, and I'm just like, I've moved on to target 2, maybe target 3, and the guy, I'm like, what?
Well, anything that you can self-revive is a bad idea.
It's just so bad.
Yep.
Like, I wouldn't even have known except for my Twitch chats. Like, oh yeah, that guy must have survivalist because you killed him, but he came back. And I'm like, fuck. It's like you don't mess with things. You don't bring back the dead in a shooter, and you don't mess with someone's health, which is can you imagine a guy running the chest plate and the survivalist? Like, I've got to try that now that I'm thinking about it. It's just like it's crazy. So those are my two beefs. That chest plate's gonna have to get nerfed.
First of all, Culprit, if you can run the chest plate and the survivalist perk, you're hacking, and I want to know what the hack is.
Is it slot restricted?
You can't use it. Okay, yeah, the survivalist is only on operator.
I'm thinking it's mechanic. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
And somebody said you shouldn't be running. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah. No, I think that when they took away the RPG from the engineer, they pretty much just said, all right, best class in the game, operator, have fun, everybody. So that was pretty much it. Right now, mechanic, to me, in the game modes that I play, now again, I don't play Hotwire. I think Hotwire is probably the retarded mode ever.
Yeah, you can't analyze Hotwire.
I don't repair anything. I don't repair anything anymore. So to me, it's completely useless. And not having that RPG on there makes vehicle gameplay to me, like I'm playing Conquest on Dust Bowl. The other team grabs both choppers. what am I supposed to do? There is no way to take them down unless I go to a stinger. And guess what? You only get one. You get one stinger, and they have flares. They can run away from that stuff. I mean, they've taken it to where they've neutered that particular class, and they've made it unplayable on some maps because now you don't have a viable option of taking down those type of vehicles. But some of the gadgets I think were just utterly stupid. I don't like the fact that I don't like the sabotage. I think sabotage is stupid.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you can set it up on top of a car, or you can set it onto a doorway and leave, and you kill a guy. It's at least with like a trip mine or a claymore or C4. Claymore and a trip mine you have to set so that they run into it, right? And they can actually see it and kind of go, oh, I don't want to go there, or they can blow it up. C4, you have to be there physically to see.
You have to put yourself at risk.
Boom. Yes. Now I blow it up. Sabotage. What were they thinking? Like, no, just completely retarded. Take that thing out.
Yeah.
I don't really like the fact that they have the survivalist perk. I think that is retarded even with the explosions only. You should not be able to revive yourself in any first-person shooter. That's just stupid on a measure. I mean, it just does not make any sense.
I agree.
I like how we all pointed that out back in June, and then like, okay, we'll think about it. Okay, but it'll still be in the game, but only for explosions.
Yeah.
Right.
Other than that, I think that they did a really good job. I like the fact that the gas mask, grapple hook, zipline are all for everybody. Every class can use those. I think that was a good choice. I like the fact that they have, some of the grenades, and a counter of it is a gadget. I like that kind of is introduced into the game. We talked about it a little bit earlier about how, gas grenades can be really, really annoying, but there's a counter. There's some way for you to combat that, and it's one of those trades. Hey, do I take ammo or do I take a gas mask? Do I take breach charges or do I take a gas mask? Do I take a med kit? Do I take a gas mask? So I like that aspect of it. So for the most part, there's a few gadgets that were just retarded, but they did a fairly decent job. I like the change to the tugs, the camera.
I haven't even messed with that.
Well, it's directional, and I think that was a good idea because on maps like the block where it's very linear, you can't just throw one down in the middle.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
You have on Metro, you throw a tugs down
underneath,
and you can watch everything.
Yeah.
Whereas at least with this camera, you have to be I want this area to be covered, and then you can watch that.
I haven't messed with the gas max. What do they do there? Obviously, it obstructs your vision just a little bit. Is that right?
It doesn't.
Not so much.
All right, but is there any other detriment? Like, can he not run as fast, or is it just literally your vision? Okay.
You hear your soldier breathing from time to time, going.
That's what I thought. I didn't know if maybe he couldn't sprint as long. I don't know.
And if you've forgotten you equip it, you go, why is my screen look so shitty?
You just think you're constantly suppressed or whatever.
Yeah, you just lose a gadget. That's it. I mean, honestly, they played that out, I think, perfectly with the edges. It still looks like you have a gas mask on, but it's not very obstructive, and it doesn't have any negative effects on you other than the fact
the biggest
that you may
distraction
not
is
have
it uses up a gadget slot, and that's it. Like you're
right.
being defensive in a way that may not even help you.
Yeah, granting yourself
the enemy
immunity.
team isn't using gas, and you're not either.
Yeah.
So what's it going to look like?
I think it's a must-have on Heist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're using it in any other game mode or it not block, where block is like everything on top of each other, I think it's a must-have for Heist. I think other kind of game modes you can get away without it.
Well, I don't know how much you guys play in these, but for like Rescue, when I've played that one, you need it for that because people will throw down. Like if they're the last one or two players, if they're the last one or two players that are defending, and you're trying to get to a hostage, a lot of the areas are, it boils down to like 3 lanes, and they'll watch, 1 or 2 of the lanes, and then they can throw a gas grenade because it lasts so long into that 3rd lane, and any hit markers, if you're not wearing a gas mask, will let them know, hey, there's guys over there. So I've found out that comes in really handy when they throw the gas grenade, or they'll throw it down on a hostage, so that when you go to the hostage to actually take him, they know exactly where you're at. And you get 2 gas grenades, I think.
I was going to say, I was just going to ask, I'm not sure. You get 2 incendiaries, so you probably do get 2 gas, yeah. Because I go back and forth between the incendiary.
Then there's like field upgrades that give you more grenades.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm leaning more incendiary myself, because it'll do damage to vehicles. That's why I like the fire, kill them with fire.
I noticed that gas will go through walls. Will incendiary also go through walls like it does in Battlefield?
Yes, it'll go through floors. I know that.
I think the buildings that can have destruction done to them, it'll go through them. Because I know on the block, if you throw it in the hotel, you're just screwed. In any room that you're in, you're screwed.
Oh boy.
California.
I feel like we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to allot some time for the block. I think here at some point.
What the heck?
What are we at?
If you want to derail the conversation, bring that
I'm trying
up.
to think. What other gadgets? I'm just gonna ask the chat. What other gadgets might you want us to talk about before we move on here? Because then we're gonna talk about the game modes. But I mean, overall, yeah. I mean, here's my my synopsis of Hardline right now is that they don't have to fix the game as far as like stability, crashing, like that Battlefield had to spend 6 months on, right? So I'm hopeful that all these little issues we're talking about, these are fixable issues as long as they're not stubborn and dig their heels in, a la AC-130, a la suppression, all these things that they wouldn't change because it's their vision or the CEO's son had the idea. I don't know, but these are things. Gun balancing. I'm not even that caught up about the gun balancing because I'm like, it can be fixed. It's relatively easy to fix.
I think the biggest problem right now is map design and game modes.
Yeah.
I think they failed miserably on map design, and I think that they hit the wrong mark on game modes. To me, there are only 4 maps that are enjoyable on Heist and on Conquest. I'm not a big vehicle guy, so anything that requires vehicles, I hate. There's a couple of the maps that just feel way too big. They need to make the main spawns blades and derailed. It takes a minute and 20 seconds to get from main spawn to the first flag. And I know, well, why don't you take a car? Well, you're getting 3 capped, and the other guys are either taking their chopper and just raping you as you're coming out of spawn. You got 16 other people that are trying to get out of spawn at the same time. There's not always going to be a car there.
And it's a corridor. It's not even like wide open.
Lots and lots of 3 caps that happen because they're not able to reinforce as fast. If they move that spawn up to where it's only like a 30-second run or a 20-second run, that would help out tremendously.
I also noticed something about the cars over the last couple of days when I've been playing. If you take a car from the spawn and you abandon it somewhere, it stays there for a really long time abandoned. Like in Battlefield 4, I feel like if you abandon a vehicle, it explodes about 30 seconds later.
there's a timer.
In Hardline, I think it's more like a minute or even 2 minutes.
Well, where else are you going to get your RPGs from, man?
I know.
Camp on that thing.
We got to make sure everybody's got an RPG. It's kind of that's what we're getting at here. So all right, so let's move into the game modes then. So I'm leading off with her Heist, which this to me is like Squad Rush. I'm loving Heist. I haven't played enough of it to be like Brett. We're being like this map's good for it. This map's honestly like. The 2 mansion maps are like one map in my brain still. Like I don't have enough of an awareness to really tell you this is good, this is bad. I mean, as we go through, I'll probably be like, okay, I could probably tell you that block is bad, at least on the player count I played, which is typically like 32, because that's what all the servers right now are. I'm loving Heist. Heist and Blood Money are my 2 favorites right now. Like as far as like you said, the Sully was hitting on it with the subtle kind of tactics. It's very simple. It's a very simple game mode to jump in and play. But I think there's another couple levels to that onion where it'll be hard, simple to play, hard to master kind of thing. I hope so anyway. I hope there's going to be that depth, but you never know on a public server. It could just end up being a Zerg kind of thing.
I don't think that you're going to see what you're wanting until you lower the counts to around 24.
I agree, and I think
if you can lower the counts to around 24. I think you're going to get more of that tactical type of, hey, we got to break up into two groups, and one group watch this bag, one group watch that bag, or
one group go
like
steal from them. But we'll talk about Heist, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing it for 5v5 quite a bit here, and one of the things that I can tell you right now is that there's only 4 good maps, like I said before, that are worth playing. And
which ones are they again? Say it randomly.
Block, Bank Job, let's see, Hollywood Heights, and then Grow House.
Hollywood Heights, is that the one? Yeah,
Hollywood
that's the one
Heights
at night, right?
That's the one with the mansion at night, and that on 64 players is ridiculous.
And that's one with the building under construction, right? The base that's under like a house being built. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two sides that have like construction going on, and then the middle one's the mansion. Yeah. So those are the 4 like really good maps for 5v5 Heist. But one of the problems that they have is there's a lot of focus on verticality, and that really destroys it a lot to me. But see, I didn't like it in Battlefield 4. I thought Battlefield 3 had it right. Most of the places you only had, maybe 3 stories was the max.
Right.
And then that was it. Sometimes you had 4 stories, but for the most part, it stayed at 3 or 2. That was a lot more manageable. A lot of verticality in this game kind of break it up for me.
And you could open the facade. You could blow it up. And
that's the thing, too. A lot of these maps, they say, oh, there's a lot of destruction. If you look into them, in Hollywood Heights, you can only destroy the walls inside. You can't destroy the outside walls. So it there's not really a whole lot of discretion, because I don't know about you guys, but when I fight on those particular maps, I stay either on top or I stay around the sides. I don't ever go inside the building, because that's just going to be, obviously a shit.
that's part of the.
So
that's what
I stay on the outside, and that's where I get most of my kills. I'm not going to go in there. I'm not going to go in there to choke points. I mean, there's all kinds of natural choke points in areas that you can die to, splash damage, Molotovs, gas grenades coming in there, messing up your vision, all that kind of good stuff. But I mean, overall, Heist is fun. I think that with the maps that they made, how small they were, they should have limited to 24. And I think that they kind of... I don't think vehicles really play out very well in it, because you can have rounds that end so darn fast.
Yeah, that would be a big detriment to me too, as well. It's like, if the mode's played right, or at least not balanced, it could be over very quickly. But I've seen matches on Bank Job, where you got that last B drop off there. That's right by their spawn. That one can drag on, but that'll change as people learn the map, I think. So I'm just liking the vibe of the kitty. Heist just brings back to me a little squad rush action. And I love squad rush. I hated seeing it out of Battlefield 4, so I think that's probably why I'm enjoying that a little bit more. But I think you're right. I think the lower player count will be a big thing, where you have some room to move, flank, and things like that. And certain people will be Overwatch, certain people will be runners, that kind of stuff. So I hope we'll see that, but only time will tell, really. How are you guys, Darth and Sully, liking Heist before we move on?
It's one of the two game modes I've been playing the most of. I'll probably get to the other ones here as weeks roll on. But I've coming out of the beta, I have to say that I really, really liked Heist a lot, and I've been playing a bunch of it. It's super frustrating when you have a team that is not objective-minded, but it has been a lot of fun for focusing the action, particularly on Bank Job is what I keep thinking of. Some of the other maps are not so good for Heist. I don't think I had a lot of fun on Riptide, for example. That Heist map was Dust Bowl's Heist is also okay.
They're not very well balanced. Like Dust Bowl, for instance, you can zip line from the tile right to the one side, like literally right to the door.
And that's another example.
You got to go through all this wide open area, and it's not very balanced at all, I thought.
That's another example of the helicopters being able to win the game for you.
Yeah.
Because if the little bird wins their fight, then there's no way that you can defend or attack properly, because they'll just nub you up in your spawn, and because it's so big from the spawns, it's hard to do anything.
So for some strange reason, there's a huge volume of space between the spawns and the actual action on Dust Bowl for Heist. And they have the stingers that are close to the action, but not at the actual spawns. Yeah, it's weird.
And then they have the boundary, like up the hill, is like pretty close too. So it's like it really pens you in.
Well, I think that's one of those instances where they made the map for Conquest, and then they said, "Hey, let's put Heist on here."
Fit something in here, yeah.
I would agree. I mean, and Darth and I were talking about this yesterday, where it's very clear that they carted out their best maps during the beta. And Bank Job is incredible for Heist. But the other one you kind of lose. I mean, part of it's immersion, part of it is does it work, and it doesn't.
It fits the theme really well too.
Right?
Yeah.
The theme, but like the Bank Job is like, this is a beautifully designed map for a bank heist. This is incredible. I'll keep playing this.
Yeah.
But then the other time you're like, I'm attacking a shed. Okay, I guess. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, and that's not really that's not super serious or super impactful to the overall like viability of the game. But yeah, it does affect your interest in the modes. And so we do have these really weird. And Brett said they've got a map design issue and a mode design issue, and it comes in the center of that Venn diagram is where there's not a lot that works on multiple maps. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some that I didn't like at all.
Heist a lot of fun if you can avoid just take 64 players out of your.
Oh yeah, I think we can almost say that for everything. I mean, even
how did that happen? By the way, they said that wasn't going to happen.
I don't think they would do that. I think they're afraid of pissing, I guess, admins off. I'm sure they get money from that.
It's a Battlefield identity crisis, right? Yeah. What is Battlefield, and what is Battlefield as it differentiates itself from other AAA titles? And a lot of people think that 64 player, big maps, vehicle boom boom. I don't agree with that, but there's it keeps on showing up, and now we got 64 player maps.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that Visceral went wrong, is that they tried to. I think that they had so much of a backlash when they first announced it, cops and robbers type thing, small maps, that people were like, where are my vehicles? And then they tried to jam vehicles into the game. The armored car, because there's no RPGs, there's just no real answer to it, Yeah. And it kills it. But they had to do it because we got to make it a Battlefield game. We have to have vehicles in it. We have to have helicopters, some sort of tank-like vehicle on the ground, and that's what messed it up. If they had taken out the
counter to it,
if they had taken out the vehicles completely, just put a transport armor chopper that only does transporting, no guns on the side, just transporting, and then made the game around that, beautiful. I mean, they started going the right direction with like what you were saying, bank job. Beautiful map. I mean, it just worked so well. They should have went more in that direction and less into this whole Dust Bowl weird with the helicopters that are able to do so much damage.
Pseudo Conquest or pseudo Battlefield.
It's an identity crisis. It's an identity crisis trying to go up against other AAA games in the space.
Yeah, I agree. I wish they would have just went fully on to the infantry thing, which, and you got to think it wouldn't have competed with Battlefield 4, but...
Yeah.
And
that goes back to why
Go ahead.
Go on. I was going to say, that goes back to why I've been so struggling so much with trying to find out why I'm so disappointed when I was so excited with the beta, because if I said to myself at the beta, if we have 8 maps that do what Bank Job did as well as Bank Job did, that would be an awesome game. And
we kind of knew that wasn't going to...
Yeah, we got 4 of them. That was it.
Yeah, you knew they were going to march out fast, right?
Right? Yeah. And there you go. And can they do that for DLC? Maybe, but this is the other thing too. We'll go into fixes or changes, but we've said this before, and I think a lot of us still have this concern with it, which is longevity. Are you going to be there for the second or third drop when they get the DLC right?
Yeah, well, that's going to be, is the support going to be there? I mean, they've already got an aggressive timeline because you got Battlefront coming down the block, which they might still support Hardline, just like they're still supporting Battlefield 4, but it's not going to be the baby. It's not going to be the featured game, so...
They're gonna get micro spring updates like we just did for the 4, where we were so excited and holy crap, we won.
Right, they're gonna hype and deliver seldomly.
Well, in my conversations with a couple of the devs over the last probably 6 months to a year now, they've kind of all said the same thing in different wording, but they've basically have said that Battlefield will have its main titles. The Battlefield 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are the ones that they're going to put massive support behind. Stuff like Battlefield Hardline or a possible BC3, stuff like that comes out, those are just there to soak up time. They're there to kind of make money in between. They're not really too focused or worried about how those do.
They're not a flagship. Yeah,
exactly.
They're almost proof of concept. If it does well, they might see a second or third iteration, but they don't care if it fails either, a la Medal of Honor. They're just going to, make their money, cut their losses, but...
Bad Company.
Well, see, I think I don't know.
Bad Company did really well, and with Hardline.
But so what do you guys think about Blood Money? Because this is something that I haven't actually played a whole lot, except for when I went to the event in San Francisco. I played it on Hollywood Heights. That was the only map I think we played it on. That was a lot of fun there. But when I played it on downtown in the original beta, I hated it.
I did too. The
two
things right next to each other? Nah.
I loved it on the original one. And I'm interested in seeing how, obviously, the broken nature of the engine doesn't really allow for competitive play. But I was always intrigued as to how lower player counts would play into your strategy when you go hit, when you defend, when you take. So I think it's great, but I think once again on bigger, just gets. I haven't not been steamrolled on one or the other side of a steamroll yet.
See, I've enjoyed Blood Money surprisingly. I thought it was going to degrade into kind of. Just everybody zergs for the pile, one team controls it, and that's it. But I've been actually surprised on 2 fronts. That I've had a lot of success, obviously, stealing the money, but you have to wait for them to get some money first, so it's a little weird. But one thing I found out, it's a longer game mode than I thought. I've had more games in Blood Money go to the time limit than any other game mode, and in Battlefield 4, anything. So I was really surprised by that. So, I had this impression that all these game modes were going to be really short, really fast, Hardline, that's what we experienced. But I've had so many Blood Monies go so long, and I actually welcome that. I'm okay with that, because Heist tends to go kind of shorter, so this is kind of the balance of that. But I've enjoyed Blood Money a lot. A little more running, I think, than I'd really like, but...
One of the things that I've noticed, in the original beta, it turned into teams camping each other's piles.
Well, also that's what it turned into in the beta. I hate the high rises.
And then when I played it, like I said, on Hollywood Heights, and I don't know if it was the type of players I was playing with either, because everybody is there, like was selected to be there, but it turned into a very, very competitive game. I think we had like 3 or 4 matches that actually went down to like just a few dollars between the teams.
I've had those.
That were the wins. And
like that last guy running with the bag is the one that gets it. Yep.
And you still have like, I thought it was pretty fun on Hollywood Heights because you had the option to defend at home, try and attack the main pile, and you could either stop the people trying to take the money at the main pile, or you could try and take it and then go back to your own, or you could play as an attacker and go for the enemy's main pile. Now, what I ended up doing was I ended up playing at the other side of the base. I ended up playing at the enemy's pile and just basically causing as much chaos as I possibly
could. Being a pain in the ass. That's what I did.
I ran in between their pile and the center pile. That's what I ended up doing. That was a lot of fun. Now, I haven't played it at all since launch.
I've had a lot of that.
If that's what it plays like for the rest of the maps, that's a fun mode.
It is, and I think there is the one thing that I don't like is there seems to be a lot of verticality over that pile, to where you're going to have a lot more pub players who are just going to camp the pile on top of whatever building it is.
My least favorite moment in Hardline, by far, is on that money pile, holding E, frantically looking around, because, I mean, there's just 8 different ways you can die instantly, and so, yeah, and I don't really like how they do the mechanics of hitting. Like, I never know if I'm actually taking the money or if I didn't hit E properly, because that's the one HUD that isn't right in your freaking face. That stays at the bottom of the screen. So, but I mean, it's minor in the grand scheme. But this is the mode I was talking about, where I think there's a lot of subtle tactics to it. Like you're saying, there's defend your base, there's go and get the money pile, there's defend or overwatch the money pile, there's stealing and harassing, and like there's so many. Like, I feel like you almost need to have at least 24 players so that you have guys that can do all these things, and then you sprinkle in the helicopter or whatever, like running on view. I just think it's going to go one of 2 ways. As people learn this mode and the maps, it's either going to get better in that sense, or it's going to get worse, where you're saying people are going to learn the best camp spots and they're just going to noob tube the money pile anytime they get, so I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
well, it's also
I need to write that down. Best camp spots video for this week.
Question mark?
Seriously, like that's going to happen. Like we know what's going to happen once the community as a whole gets more familiar with the game. They're going to learn how to exploit things. Like think the UCAV, like how terrible the UCAV became, and I'm freaking guilty. But the same way, like camping the top of freaking downtown, the money pile, you can't see people up there, and unless you're up there in that guy's face, you can't stop him.
Yeah, it's hard.
So it's that's going to be really annoying.
Right. The roof issue is live and well in Hardline as it is.
That's going to happen in any game mode. I mean, look at any game mode in any Battlefield. You always have the guys that are able to find those good camp spots, good spots where they glitch through certain things, or gadgets or weapons that are going to be good for glitching or just exploiting. That's just going to happen, and that's one of the things that. This is off topic a little bit. One of the things I kind of disagree with this whole YouTuber invite thing, because it's not a big enough test sample. Because the thing is that they're going to play the game in a not so BS way, and they're not going to really have the time to come out with that, because out of the millions of people that can potentially play this game, there's a lot of different play styles that are going to be coming out of it. There are going to be guys that sit in one spot for 10 minutes waiting for a car to drive over his breach charges.
Oh yeah.
You really think that in those test environments that a YouTuber is going to do that? No, he's not. He's not going to.
It's not. That gets down to that. They're not test environments. They're influencer marketing programs where you get people who are going to have a big audience that are going to say, I'm not going to name any, but it's the opposite of East, who are going to say, I made an impact in this game, and they're going to feel better for it. And that's one way that they're trying to smooth over rough edges with a community that's just like, you fucking Battlefield.
Well, I think that they did take some good feedback from them. There was a couple of things that they did take into account that worked. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, majority it's free advertising. I mean, you take somebody you take some of the big YouTube channels that have millions of subscribers to them, and they put up a video, bam, that's free advertising. They didn't have to pay anything for it. But I think that blood money is going to definitely get exploited, as well as Heist, as well as the other game modes that are like that. That will always happen.
Yeah, you can't patch.
And it's going to come down to the players that are in that server and how well it's going to be balanced out too. Because blood money is also one of those maps or matches that I can see being extremely one-sided. because one team just doesn't defend their pile, or one team just doesn't go attack the other guys, and it's going to be just one-sided.
Or once again, like you said, one good chopper pilot that can just shuttle people around. Or I mean, as long as he stays alive.
Chopper specialists are going to be bad.
He gives you a mobile spawn point that you can just parachute in all over the place, So yeah, I mean, you don't think so. I guess people think a hardline is infantry, but like you're saying, a good chopper pilot, man, is going to be worth his weight in gold. That's for sure. I think, because super frustrating.
Shoot, in the beta, we had that one round of Hotwire where Sully, you and I just destroyed everybody in that chopper. Just flew around 24-0, no problem. Not even close.
Yeah, I've been incredibly frustrated with that. Just because, like I said, they could just spawn any. They're parachuting out, they're spawning any. It's the same thing on downtown where they get into the high rise, and then they could then they're anywhere. But we'll get into that probably a little more when we talk about TDM. All right, so let's talk about everybody's favorite, Hotwire. This seems to be the most controversial mode, but actually at the same time, I don't think it is. I think everybody's just like, we get it. It's for the lulls.
Hotwire is basically Farmville in Battlefield.
It's a boost. It's a big boost.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You jump in there, you put on your objective boost, you go as a repair guy, and you just sit around. I watched. Can I say other people channels on here? I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad. Okay. I watched Shibby 2142. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, Shibby, sure.
Yeah, Shibby 2142. He came out with a video today, I think, or yesterday, and he was talking about how he went negative and was still on top of leaderboards with like 30,000 points because he just sits there all day with boosts. How is that fun?
Well, the boost,
it's not fun. It's stupid. It's retarded. And then you have the explosive spam. Look at how many people are just sitting there with the stunt driver, with the RPGs, the breach charges. Used to be in the beta, the trip mines. I mean, it's ridiculous how that mode is turning out. And it's not really going to have that many epic moments once it boils down after, I think, a few weeks. Yeah. And then once people have all the cash that they want,
that's the thing.
Who cares to play that mode?
Right.
Nobody.
Right. Well, yeah.
It's like Michael Bay made a Bad Boys video game.
Pretty much. I mean, the only reason it was good was the first couple of days when nobody had the RPGs and all that stuff, and people had to actually take cars down with the 320s.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be very difficult to go back if you come late to the game and go back and yes, your RPG.
Well, that's the thing. I've had that.
Oh, but don't worry. I'm sure it'll be unlockable via money.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, you'll be able to buy it, but I definitely had that where first of all, I don't like how the boosts apply to the scoreboard. I think that's ridiculous. But yeah, I had a 200% boost. I went 1 in 9 as a driver. All I did was drive the car. So I would get a couple road kills maybe here or there. Because I would play 2 rounds back to back, I guess. And I fully expected to. We always joke it kills your KD, but you just get, like you said. I think my most was 24 or 25K, and I was like, well, I need the money. That's cool. And it's just it's inversely. It's the better you are at it, the less fun it is. Because the idea is you just drive away from people. And for me, I was playing a mixed mode server, so it was okay. All right, this is up. Time to make my money. I'll have fun on the other maps, but right now I'm doing this. I'm doing it hard, and I'm going to make some money. I'm going to make the most of my 20 or minutes on this mode. But yeah, you can. I mean, it's not even hard. But even then, it was getting the laser trip mines is. I mean, how is that? I don't even understand. But especially they let them put them on the ground and just face up. It's you should make it have 2 sides. It should have to be a hallway. So two, you got ascend and a receive. You have to have. You can't should be able to just put it straight up in the air and a car drives over it and you're dead.
Well, I think it was a cool idea that they let you do that, especially for the infantry aspect of it, because you can set up some pretty cool traps. I mean, I've seen some pretty clever ways that those have been planted, especially around the hostages on rescue and stuff like that. But I mean, they just need to tailor it for only infantry damage.
Right. That would be the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, sure. Not let it do any car damage or vehicle damage.
Right. Because, yeah, I mean, at least C4, you have to be relatively in the area. You have to be monitoring it, I suppose. And RPGs take some skill to shoot something, 320, but it's the laser trip mine. Just put down and forget and go off and hide somewhere or something. Or get in a car yourself. So it's but I also say, I don't want to bash on Hotwire too badly, because at least it's original. We haven't really necessarily seen this done before. It kind of fits okay. And, as long as the other modes are okay, which I do feel, I'm enjoying Heist and Blood Money, I'm okay with this mode just kind of being off on the side, and it's a little kind of just go loll around. Because we played it the other night, as much as we were bitching and moaning and this is ridiculous, I had fun, and those are the highlights of that whole 3-hour session that I went back for, was to get those Hotwire highlights, because I just thought they were funny, but that's also a new game. It's funny. After a while, you've seen it 1,000 times, but
Well, at least they made a game mode for the people who would be boosting otherwise.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right? They can go there and boost. Yeah, instead of doing it in game. But like I think we were saying this when we were playing. It was like they broke the economy. Like the economy just there is none. It's they wanted to have some grind for the money to make these things feel like achievements, and then they just give you this game mode where it's just like, here you go, you get money, you get money, you get money.
Anytime you add in boosts, it destroys the whole system.
Yeah.
In Battlefield 4, when they introduced the boost, most people had already broken the cap within the first month. And it's like, what for those people that like to grind, what's the point of them for playing anymore? Like, it really doesn't make any sense for them to end up doing that kind of stuff with boost. If they want to add in boosts, it should be very minimal compared to what you have there. I mean,
so there were two things mentioned so far in this podcast tonight that were like, why does this exist and why is this in here? Attachments being one of them and boosts being the other one. And the main reason I can see is because we want to have the concept of the battle pack that we can sell to people.
Well, and they're doing that right out of the gate, aren't they? Like Battlefield 4, they didn't do that until super late. But I think you can buy them right now, right? Like straight up, which I don't know why. Because I have ones I don't even know how many I haven't even opened.
Origin, let me give you my money. I know Sully is all into giving money for things to open from Counter-Strike.
Not to Origin.
Well, you see, they did try to do it too. Have you opened a battle pack? It does this whole like flashy little animation. Yeah, they're definitely.
They saw that and they're like, "Let's do. Why aren't we doing that?"
It works for them exactly.
Pretty much.
So I don't have a lot of experience with Conquest, but Brett, I know you said you've been playing it a lot. What is there? There's some maps that are clearly only 3 flags, right? No matter if you play large or small. Is that right?
All of them are 3 flags.
All 3 flags. Okay. So yeah,
the only thing that they did is take out the other 2. So like on Dust Bowl, they just took out the 2 side flags. Everglades, they took out the other 2 flags. What's the other one? Riptide, same thing. I mean, they didn't really tailor those maps too well to small Conquest. And
are they all linear, or some of them triangular?
Actually, it's really stupid the way they ended up doing this. So what they did is they took the four of the maps that are playable for infantry that are really good: Grow House, Bank Job, and Hollywood Heights. Those 3 maps, they lined up the flags north and south, so they're straight up and down, and then they put the spawns east and west. Now, I don't really like this style of gameplay because it's almost impossible to lock it down, and that's one of the things that I like doing. I like locking down maps, right? But it's impossible because they can go anywhere on the map.
Right.
On the block, though, they made it linear. Now, I don't think that they shouldn't be able to flank anything, but if you're going to do that, you make it a triangular map or a diagonal map. Like on let's see, what was that map? Tehran Highway, like for Battlefield 3, how it was a diagonal style map. That's the way it should kind of be, and that's not what they implemented in the other maps. Downtown, they put B on top of a freaking skyscraper in a cap radius that is like micro small. I was trying to cap this thing out. There's nowhere to sit, and there's people spawning like boom, 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 spawns all in the same room, and you're trying to kill them all, and you can't because you've got 16 people all spawning on B. It's impossible.
I know. The high rises are just terrible. There's just nothing redeeming about them. I'm sorry. It's and a classic.
And then the other 4 maps are just too big. They're just too big. Now, if you play large Conquest, they probably play a lot better. But for small, just does not work. It just does not work at all. Yeah. Roofs are also a big deal. We mentioned verticality a little earlier. Grow House, Hollywood Heights, and what's the other one? Bank Job. Yeah, those 3 maps. You can control the outside flags pretty much from on top of the buildings.
Yeah.
Grow House, you can look at A.
That's
and
even
C.
Heist too.
Yeah. Hollywood Heights, A and C. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and I think that they needed to kind of tone down the roofs on some of the places, or at the very least, add more cover. If you try and cap, I believe it's Charlie flag on Grow House, it is so wide open. There is no cover, and to get cover from the rooftops, you have to hide behind the semi. And they spawn. There's 3 spawns right behind the semi that are looking right at you. So you have to play whack-a-mole with them. You have to play whack-a-mole with them to try and kill them before they kill you. It's nuts.
Yeah, Hollywood Heights is like that too, with the flag in the driveway there. There's nothing, and then you got the main road that's behind you that people are always traveling up and down. But then you got to watch the roof. Yeah, so, I mean, there's always a bad flag, I guess. But roofs, I mean, that's just part of Battlefield now, isn't it? Battle roofs. It's kind of.
I think they're missing a key demographic here that they should be focusing on for another side Battlefield title. It's just Battlefield roofs, like you said. Yeah.
But they raised the bar.
Mirror's Edge.
Literally, they threw this high-rise skyscraper that's now just like it makes me not mind.
So the nice thing about all this verticality that they've added into the game is that they hit a lot better than previous Battlefield titles, at least as far as the minimap goes, by showing you vertical distances of 2 players and being like, this guy is actually not on your level.
Yeah, I love that. That is probably one of my favorite. I mean, I've called for that in Battlefield since Battlefield 3, so that I'm still getting used to that. But that is.
We shouldn't give them too much credit for it because it's a natural extension of a sellable feature.
It's also something that's been around for a
We're not
while.
going to give you any way to tell where a guy is.
They invented it, right?
But they get credit for that. I guess the other part is too, like the flip side of not being able to lock it down is that it theoretically leads on Conquest. Theoretically leads to a lot of back and forth. Whereas like on Downtown, that B is horrible to cap, but it allows you to then jump down and control everything else.
Well,
is that
also,
overall good? No, probably not. But it's the roofs on Downtown are just so far removed from anything else that's happening.
Yeah, vertically, not even. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it ruins. I mean, it ruins TDM. We'll get that in a little later. I mean, just the people can drop anywhere. Oh,
Also,
isolating.
Yeah. Also, I'm coming at it from a competitive perspective as well. So, for 5v5 on Conquest, it's a nightmare because one of the big things about, especially like the Battlefield 3 and before maps, was that you could lock down certain areas, and that was one of the cool features about it was that you had this really good like timing pushes and can you break these holes and stuff like that. And
if you put enough manpower, you could lock.
With like it is now, there's. Okay, this doesn't work. We'll go this side. Okay, that doesn't work. We'll go this side. And it's like this big seesaw.
Yep.
For big 32 stuff, it does work a lot better. I mean, you're right. You do have back and forth matches that do go on, and that's something that we've that I actually experienced when I was waiting for the podcast to start. I was playing on, I think it was, oh crap, we just got done talking about it. Bank Job. There we go, Bank Job, and it had that very back and forth style of play because every time we went over to C and cap it, they would cap A, we'd cap A, they cap B. So yeah, it had us flowing around the map pretty good.
What do we? Well, I'll just bring it up here before because I don't want to. What do we think about Levolution? Since we're talking about the other buzzword, verticality. What do we think about the other? But it's like the back of the box. I'm going down the hit points. Levolution. Is there anyone that we like? Because I mean, I already hit on the screen shake.
The only thing I noticed from Evolution this time around is my screen shaking, and that's about it. Like, there's really no fundamental changes to the map. I mean, you can get to a few more areas with the crane coming down on Downtown, but
you'd be fine without it. It's funny when you play
the stuff that's
right?
on the smaller scale, like the explosion in the house on Dust Bowl, feels better than some of the large scale stuff that they do.
But like, it's funny, you play the block 32 man, it's crazy, everything's going on, you're always swiveling, and suddenly the Levolution goes on and everybody just stops for like 20 seconds. Everybody just stands there. It's just like, I'm not even going to try to shoot right now because this whole map is having a seizure. And everybody just waits and takes a break for 30 minutes, sip a coffee, and then it stops and everybody's like, okay, game on. It's like when you're playing street hockey and a car comes by, or everybody's like, hold up. The car goes by and you're like, okay, game on. It's just like, come on, like I don't like it. So I mean, I don't think anybody really likes it, but it's another one of their buzzwords that they're so strongly hanging on to. It's just like, we need this for a marketing headline, man. So
it was good for marketing. Look at Battlefield 4.
Yeah, that's
the building coming down. That sold a crap.
That probably
ton of
sold 1 million copies right there.
Yeah, right
that's
there
for sure.
But Levolution as a whole is a horrible idea. I mean, it doesn't give anything to the map, and it annoys players.
I think
more than
Levolution
anything.
is a good idea. Their implementation of a Levolution is not. Like, I like the micro Levolution things. Like, like even the bollards in Battlefield 4, little things that you could kind of affect the map. But these big centerpiece showpiece things that affect server wide, I don't like myself.
So there is a Team Fortress 2 map. I think it's called Hydro. I might be wrong on that, but the neat thing about that I thought they could do with Levolution, maybe in a future Battlefield title at this point, is varying the map every time you play it. Like, okay, this time I'm playing it oh, this thing is here or this thing is different. And that map specifically, they have different pathways that cut different ways depending on what iteration of the map is on. It's like something like probably 60 different ways I played that map. But it's interesting that it's a different way to play the same map every time.
Guys, I like excuse myself, but just carry on.
I like the idea of being able to have different maps within the same map. The way that they've done Levolution is more of just sort of a cheap gimmick where it's like, and something falls over and we can show this to marketing and yay, we sell some more copies. The biggest difference I remember from Battlefield 4 with Shanghai is that it changes where the spawns are for that point and makes the map look like crap according to some people, but that's pretty much the sum total of it.
I hate to see spawns when that building comes down.
Hey, would you like to cross the road with all the tanks? And then when you're in the middle of the rubble, you have all the infantry that just capped it coming back at you. Or if you just capped it, hey, look at that. Now they're all on the outside. You're fighting a whole bunch of sickly gazelles.
Yeah, I think that Levolution, their idea of it definitely doesn't add anything to the maps. The biggest effect that, it's like what you were talking about before, the meth lab down below and but Dust Bowl when you blow it up opens up new areas. That is good. But what they coin Levolution, in my opinion, is the big set pieces, the dust storm that comes through, the storm on Riptide, the massive crane that comes down in downtown, the middle of the building that falls in Hollywood Heights, that type of stuff. That right there doesn't add anything to the game, and it doesn't really change the maps or the setting enough to make it worth it. It just kind of takes you, to me, it takes people out of the game for a very quick, 15, 20 seconds. And then once the dust settles or the screen shake stops, then they go back into it and play.
Yeah, it's pretty much what I was just saying. It's like, just hold up, let this pass, and we'll play again. So,
do you remember the sampler platter Levolution we got in the this? Oh crap! I forgot the name of the best expansion in Battlefield 3. But close. It's a close quarter, not the close quarters one. The one that came after that.
Kill?
No. Okay, so I got the timing wrong. It's the one with all the Iranian maps that are all city-based.
Aftermath,
yes.
With the earthquake on it?
Yeah.
Ah, look, everything's shaking.
Oh my God, that sucks.
Are you ready for it?
And it was like everybody likes Aftermath. It must be the earthquake.
That's what they took away. Oh, God.
You can see him at a meeting guys, metrics show that everybody are playing these maps. I knew it. It's the earthquake.
It's the earthquakes, guys.
What if we put earthquake on every map?
That's
mind-boggling.
Right.
And then some of them are just copy paste, like the dust. I mean, I don't know. Do you guys have this? Like, I have the graphical glitch on Dust Bowl with the dust comes in. Like the I've seen it on some videos. Some people obviously have it. Could be a driver thing for my graphics card, but the dust is like flashing. It's like all graphically glitchy. It's just like.
No, I haven't had that.
It just reminds me of the Shanghai where everybody's frames would go through the floor whenever that thing went down, and the first thing you do you'd score. You guys did this, I'm sure. You went on the map and be like, "Do not bring the tower down." Nobody. Let's just agree right now we're not going to bring this down. So I don't know. Like I said, I like the micro Levolution. I don't really need these big show pieces. But you're right. I mean, when I saw that trailer, I mean, like I said, we were just like, I could probably go back on Twitter and get my tweets. I was going crazy. So it's great for that, but it just doesn't play very well, in my opinion. So let's talk a little bit. This might just be your monologue here, Brett. Crosshair and Rescue, because I haven't played any of this, but I'm very intrigued by these modes. So did you guys play these at all? Just so I know. No, I didn't figure this out.
I didn't give this.
This is your wheelhouse.
My desire is high.
I'll go get a drink or something.
Now, Crosshair is a fail. That is just a straight up fail. For public and for competitive, in my opinion. For public, especially because everything depends on one guy, and he's a random. You don't even know who it is. But everything depends on the VIP. Sure. If he dies, game over. And a lot of times, what I ended up when I pubbed it was the guy just running balls of the wall right into the middle of the crowd and dies. And you're like, dude, you have a pistol. Why are you going towards them like that? Like, don't do that.
Or they'll never expect it.
Yeah, or what it ended up devolving into was the VIP, hides in the back while the other four of his teammates try and fight it out and win the game that way. Or what ends up happening is that the five guys that are defending, they end up just camping and turtling in their area, and then the other guys have to break in through it. So it's not a whole lot of fun for public. For competitive, it ain't happening. People are not going to be using it for comp. Why they think that single round game modes are the way to go for competitive is beyond me.
Yes,
it works for Counter-Strike.
Right.
It's not going to work for Battlefield. Battlefield is a respawn game. That's what it shines at.
There's too much to die to, yeah.
Conquest, respawn. That is its bread and butter. Why try and stray away from that and try and enforce something that's not true to Battlefield? In one of the things that I don't understand too, you're on rescue. You get this massive, triple kill, but the fourth guy comes around the corner and kills you. All of a sudden, guess what? He revives everything that you just did, and it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing. The revives kill the game mode. The med packs allow you to camp on particular points and almost never die. There's a lot of problems with it. Rescue is fun, kind of, in a public setting. I've been playing it a little bit. It is annoying when you have just the randoms go in there, rush to their death, and the next thing you know, you're left 1v5 or 1v4, and you have to take care of it. It is so hard to do. But, for the most part, it was like Diffuse for Battlefield 4. It's kind of a failure, in my opinion. I think that consoles will play it more because they have kind of a matchmaking system already implemented. They can go into their menu and select the game mode, and it'll find them a server that has people in it. Whereas with PC, it requires people to have the servers up and running for the most part to try and keep them populated. And when you have a game mode that is only relying on 5 people to try and keep that game mode populated, it doesn't happen. As soon as you start getting, one team winning out by 3 modes or more, then you start having the other team leaving. And the next thing you know, you're 2-on-5 in the game. It doesn't work out overall. And, if you can find 10 people that to play it, yeah, I'm sure you can have a lot of fun. But as playing against randoms, it's not a very great mode.
Yeah, I don't think any. You're talking about Crosshair and Rescue. I don't see any of them being a pub. That's why I haven't played any. I just, was thinking if you've tested them and see how it is, would you trade any of them for, say, Squad of Blit or Domination? I know you guys are so sick of Squad of Blit.
I would bring in Squad Obliteration. Yeah. Hands down. Yeah.
So almost like a squad heist. Could we make that happen with small server? I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It's relatively.
Like I was telling you before, we tried tweaking the settings for heist, and it doesn't work. It's broken right now. So that's not really an option as of right now. I'm gonna try and talk to Thad to get him to kind of switch some things around.
Server settings.
Yeah, if they could bring a Squad Obliteration, or if they could bring in Squad Rush into Hardline,
they won't. Though.
Oh my God, you're talking about some fun times right there. But I mean, honestly, I don't really see that being the case. Squad Obliteration, I think the community would have received it a lot better had they put a cap on it. So if they put a 24-player cap on Squad Obliteration, that's almost perfect for Battlefield 4.
They're terrified of caps,
People would have enjoyed it a lot more. But the way it is now, we have 64 players or 32 players. It doesn't work.
Is that really what it is? Because I haven't been playing Battlefield that much.
Well, the problem right now is you can't find a Squad Obliteration server because everybody knew it as 64 players. Because that's the first thing in PC. That's the first thing they do. 64 players. We talked about that earlier. Yep. 64 players, throws it in there, and the next thing you know, it's just a big clusterfuck. But if they had limited it to 24 and brought it out that way, it works a lot better. And it's even better for 5v5. I practically built that mode with Steve and Baz. We 3 built that mode from the ground up, and it works amazingly well for 5v5. It's a lot of fun. But I don't really see them bringing a game mode like that over into Hardline. They may not, I don't know. But if they do, it's going to happen 6-8 months down the road. Mm-hmm. And by that time, we're going to be looking at, other games.
Yeah. But you don't think, what if they made some of those settings in Heist, say, server settings? You don't think you could see like a squad Heist thing going on?
Well, that's what we're aiming for right now. Yeah, we're aiming for Heist to be a competitive game mode for 5v5. But again, you don't really want to play it for 100 tickets, which is what you have to play it at right now. You have to play it for 60 to 100 tickets in order for it to work correctly.
Yeah.
And that is way too many tickets to have to play it for. Then you're just basically playing it for time, and that's not a whole lot of fun.
Right.
Just playing that mode for time. It doesn't really bring in that much tension for the viewer and for the players themselves.
Running away from each other. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not a whole lot of fun. So I think that Heist is one of those modes where there's a lot of room for it to be improved upon. I don't think that they're going to improve upon it.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt you. That's for sure.
I don't see it happening.
No, let's talk about TDM. I haven't played much, but am I forgetting a mode here? TDM's the last one I have. Just make sure I didn't miss one here. But has anybody played this? Because it's a disaster. I played for about a half an hour, and
it's horrible.
It's a disaster. And of course, my first one I played was Bank Job. How do you mess up TDM?
I could speak fairly about it because I don't play it. Don't play a whole lot of TDM to begin with, so I've always thought it was just a giant clusterfuck. But how could it be worse?
Right, that's what I mean.
Well, it's almost the same spawn system as Battlefield 3.
Oh my.
Before they fixed them, before they fixed the spawns, that's about what it is. I was playing on Dust Bowl and Riptide and Derailed, and I swear to God, guys, I would spawn right in front of people, and they would spawn right in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, and I had people in chat. Yeah, I had people in chat going, "Did you just spawn right in front of me?" I was like, "Yeah, I did."
Oh yeah, I've had that where like you spawn in
Battlefield 3 and maybe even 4. That if you were looking at the spawn spot, that it was not legitimate. That you could not actually. The game
was
wouldn't.
3. That's how they fixed 3.
That's how they fixed it, but they didn't do that here in Hardline. So you can be looking at a spawn and there's a guy right there.
I've done that. You're engaging the guy, so it's not spawns.
I'm pretty sure I saw that on the Reddit for Battlefield Hardline today. Let me see if I can dig that up. But yeah, somebody was posting an example of that. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
The worst part is Bank Job though, because you can do that. You'll be engaging a guy. Somebody 10 feet away will spawn in. Now you're getting, maybe you win those two, and then you get killed by a guy with a 320 who's parachuting from the skyscraper that he spawned in, because there's a spawn spot in the skyscraper, and he just parachutes out, and everything's random. People are on roofs everywhere. It's a disaster, and I'm just like, I don't even know how you mess up TDM. I don't even know. I mean, obviously spawns, but it's just like,
well, you know how you mess up TDM? It's what Visceral did.
Now we know this is a case study. I'm just, because I do play TDM. I like to do it when I don't feel like being a team player. Like when I want to mess with my attachments or I want to just settings or something. Like I just want to be like, hey, it's about me. I don't care if I don't help the team here. Because I get a guilt if I do that on a real team mode. So I'll be like, all right, TDM, no problem, and I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. When I want to work on something specifically, so I did that the other day to play with some settings and try to learn the attachment. I'm just like, I can't even do this. This is terrible. You would literally spawn in, you get one kill, you get shot in the back. It was just like, wow, okay. I mean, maybe some other maps play better. I hope so. I think by accident they would.
No, I don't think they
downtown was so bad. I was just like, and it wasn't a 64 man. It was probably 32 that I played, and it was still terrible. I was just like,
and the smaller you get, the worse it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, imagine a 32 64 TDM on the block. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the smaller map.
Oh god.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not too fun.
I remember how chaotic the close quarters DLC was even in Battlefield 3. Like I would turn away from a spot and then look back, and there were like 7 guys that just all spawned in there.
Hello. Yeah, well, that's why I didn't like the close quarters DLC. I was just like, no matter how hard I think and how hard I like practice, there's no rhyme or reason to what happens here. It's just total RNG almost, and so that's exactly how this feels. It's just like you're like a last stand, and you're surrounded, and you're just trying to live as long. It's like a how long can I live mode. I
got really good at cheeseballing that though in the close quarters DLC because I would know where the spawn point was. I would look away from it, prime myself to just shoot when I look back.
You just basically hold the trigger down and spin around, right?
Well, we all know best TDM map ever, Not Share Canals.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
Apparently, it is the best map ever.
Not the best map for everything, just TDM. That map was butter. Oh my god, it was so good.
What makes it so good? Describe this to me because I'm actually kind of curious. Like I enjoyed it, but it was oh my god, yes, best experience ever.
Did you ever play it on TDM?
Yes.
Okay, so the biggest thing for TDM, in my opinion, that I loved about it was that the way the map would rotate depending on pushes. So you had the middle section that could be filled with your own little fight, and then you had the outside section that had its own fight going on. And depending on how that was rotating, you could actually be fighting over there towards the ramp on the crane side of the map.
You could
fight on the right-hand ramp. That would be a massive fight, and you could see these pushes changing the spawns as it goes, and there would always be this fight for control for either the train side or it would start flipping over there towards the crane side, and it was just really good back and forth control. And you had the way the map was situated, you had really good cover for crossfires and pushes. You could actually make pushes on that map and they work. It wasn't just a big clusterfuck nade fest. There was cover. There were intelligent plays that you could actually make. I know it sounds weird in TDM, but there were intelligent plays that you could make on that particular map, and it showed.
Well, I think
you
what
could
it was
have good teamwork in a team deathmatch on Nosher Canals.
It was team deathmatch. It wasn't this solo Rambo with the same colors fighting individually. There was some sense of
TDM now stands for tube deathmatch.
Yeah, tool. But yeah, it was a sense of battle lines or flow to it. Whereas everything since has just been like this, just randomization of everything. It's just kind of like you just try to survive as long as you can, and hope we can get 2 guys to your 1 death, and then kind of have a decent score, I guess. But I was shocked. I was like, TDM is just such an easy mode to not mess up. I mean, you might not do a canals, but you just don't break it. But
well, they messed it up in Dragon's Teeth, if you remember.
Which one? I don't know.
Dragon's Teeth in Lupini Gardens, their spawns.
Oh yeah, Lupini's just a bad.
Oh yeah.
Let's just give them a train track to snipe off of. Yeah.
Blew it.
Yeah, that's bad map design. I think this is just they broke the mode. So let's wrap that up then. We're not gonna have time to go into every map, but I don't if you can think of it. I don't even know the names, and I'm gonna probably have a time. But like, what's your favorite map? And you can throw in the mode too, because that obviously. What's your worst combo there? I'm trying to think for me because I've had such different experiences. Like as I'm learning, I had a really good experience on like Heist of. What's that, Grow House, I guess. That was pretty good, but that was a lot of rooftop combat, which is weird. I'm liking the... What's that? Is that the Miami mansion? I like that one.
Hollywood Heights.
No,
Hollywood
the Miami
Heights.
one.
No,
that's the night
Riptide.
one.
Okay, that'd be Riptide.
Yeah,
the
it's
night
Riptide.
house, I can't... The night house is just a meat grinder. I just can't wrap my head around that house yet. Which, like you're saying, you just stay out of it. It would be the obvious thing.
Exactly.
Right. And that's where I'm at now. But what's up?
I said, just don't go in the house.
What does everybody think about Block, since we've brought that one up probably more than anybody?
Best map they've made since Altai Range, I tell you what.
I give it 4 Altai Ranges, inside jokes. I just don't know why there aren't flanking routes on that. That's all.
And why is that the one map that they don't give you verticality? We were playing the other night. I'm like, I'll get the grappling hook. I'll get this. And we'll get on the roof to break because we were being spawn trapped. You can't. Everything's barbed wired off. I'm like, I don't really need to get up very high. I'd just like to have a position where I could peel some of these frickin' snipers back. And they don't let you. It's just like, wow. We were saying, add a tunnel or something that you could get under and flank. I don't know. That map, I mean, what is that, 10v10 max probably?
That map takes their meat grinder slot. That's
right. That's
for.
what they were going for.
Yep,
That's the whole purpose.
That's the metro. That's the locker.
It's a metro
That's
slot.
this map for this.
And I'm okay with them going for, like, I think every set should have that because some people clearly like that. It's not really what I go for, but this is just like, come on, there's you can't even do work on it. Like,
how
slow,
do you
methodical.
even initiate a breakout from those?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I saw one. There is a way down on the right side. Going towards, I don't even know the landmarks yet, but there is a way I saw you can kind of run down the side, run into one of the yards on the right, and you'll eventually pop out. But it's only a matter of time before that gets watched, or trip mined or something, But I was just like, whoa, this. I mean, I was kind of excited for that because I was like, all right, maybe TDM or maybe some or smaller modes, but I was just like, this is crazy. And then the middle buildings fall down, and you're like,
I haven't played a match yet on the block where it didn't end up into a spawn rape. Yep. I mean, Heist it ends up as the defenders getting a spawn rape on the attackers. Conquest usually ends up as one side taking at least 2 of the flags and then eventually pushing that third one and getting it and then going for a spawn rape. I mean, that's all it turns into, which is, in my opinion, which is kind of what they were aiming for. They wanted that big meat grinder, just basically 1,000 ticket, go at it for freaking ever type of map, and that's what it turned into. But no, my personal favorite map, I think right now overall, is Hollywood Heights. I loved. I've played it for Heist, Blood Money, and for Conquest. So, I love it for all 3.
What is your go-to strat? You work that wall by the road, or you go down by the helipad you're talking about?
Actually, for Hollywood Heights right now and Conquest, what I normally do is stay away from the actual B cap radius. What I'll do is if I have to cross.
Where is it on there?
The B cap radius on Hollywood Heights is the stairs. Okay, so you know where the pool is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you go from the pool to the house, those stairs that go into the house, in the middle, that's where the B cap is. Actually, right there on the stairs. It's one of the smallest cap radiuses ever. But I stay away from the actual cap radius. What I do is when I traverse the building, I go on top. because there's always going to be rooftop campers. So I go up there, kill myself a couple of snipers, and then go off the other side and do some damage, wherever I need to.
Interference kind of thing, yeah.
For the most part, I swing between the outside flags, C and A. That's what I do. I swing between those flags constantly, and I just go back and forth capping them. Stay out of the building.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a lot of fun. Blood money, I have a lot of fun going into the cash pile on the opponent's team.
I hate
back
that.
and forth.
The anxiety.
The Heist, I like it on Heist. I basically do the same exact thing. Get up on top of the roof, kill the campers, go down, try and push them back into their spawn, staying outside for the most part. That's what I do. And it works. I mean, you can rack up massive amounts of kills on it, and the flow of it still feels very, very good.
Yeah, it's pretty linear, but it plays out. The middle is kind of wide open and plenty of room to play. Like I don't dislike the map. I just can't figure it out. That's I'm getting to be where you're at. Just kind of work the outside first.
Well, it's kind of like Bazaar for Battlefield 3. B flag was a meat grinder.
Yeah,
you did not want to go in there unless you just want to sit down an ammo pack, throw some 320s.
Work the corner pillar.
That's what you did. So, like what I did on that map, I worked the outsides. I completely forgot about B flag and just worked the outsides. And that's what I do for Hollywood Heights, and I have a lot of fun at it. And I like the night setting. I really do like the night setting. It's a little bit different, and it's a pretty map. It's a really good-looking map.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, you go in that little tunnel and you climb the ladder, and next year you come out on the putting green. You're like, oh okay. Because I still haven't even figured out the house. I just keep finding new hallways, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Figure this out. But that's fine. That's a new map syndrome. But, Sully, what would you say yours is? The block, you said?
Love it. We had one moment where we just completely cleared out a lane, and then nothing ever came with it. So no, I still like. I mean, Heist on Bank Job. Like, to me, that is what I wanted. And that map is beautiful. That game mode works incredibly well on it for the most part. Mm-hmm. Not perfect. But
I think it's going to be the iconic map of Hardline. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have to probably. Yeah, that could definitely be it for me too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just fits the theme really well, and I like how you can go out of the roof, you can go out of the little cafe, you can go out the main way. Yeah, I don't. I mean, Heist specifically, I don't like the B pickup. I don't think that's always seems to be one of them. But
that would be the one thing exactly came to mind when I was.
I don't know if I've played that on Blood Money though. Is there Blood Money on that map?
Chat.
I assume there's a game mode on every map. They probably filled it in like they did with Battlefield 4.
Well, I know Hotwire isn't on every map, obviously, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I've played Blood Money on that map yet, which I'm curious to see where they've put things. But I had a good Blood Money match on Block actually, but I happen to be on the better team, which always makes things more enjoyable. So
yeah,
we were, like you said, we were pushed up past the pile, and basically I wasn't even running money. We were just kind of holding them off while other people were running the money, and so that made it fun. It wasn't quite a spawn trap, but we had the superior position by far. So I'm trying to think. I'm sure I'm forgetting maps. But what's your least favorite map? Because I know mine, without a hesitation, is downtown. I hate downtown.
I don't hate downtown as much as apparently the rest of this crew does. I don't like Everglades. Hate that map.
Yeah, Everglades is annoying because of all the water, because it slows you down. Like, everywhere, I got to get to this point. No, I have to go this way to get to here because there's water there. And then there's a tree line. It's like, Yeah, that map is pretty annoying.
I certainly don't like. I just don't like downtown. It's so disjointed to me. It's like big, like horizontally. It's big vertically, and then you're fighting on all these staircases, and then I don't know. I just don't feel like there's any flow to that map, and I just don't care for it. I don't think anything about it. Yeah. What do you got, Darth? Which is your least favorite?
Well, that's easily the block, but let me pick on something. Let me pick on something else here. That's not the block. I don't really play Everglades, but I don't really care for it. It's just that cluster at the middle that bothers me some way. It might just be that I don't know the map well enough yet, and I am traditionally terrible at maps going back at least 22 years now in first-person shooters that I play on for the first time. Block is easily hands down the worst map in the game, without a doubt, especially on larger game modes. It might be great on like 8v8, but I've mostly been playing it on 64, so that's a problem.
It's still pretty chaotic on smaller mounts too.
Right, I would imagine you at least have some room to maneuver, though.
You have more, but it's still kind of a big cluster.
Yeah, I remember yesterday or day before, Sully and I were playing that on Heist with maybe 10v10, and it was manageable. We actually managed to win that as attackers, so yay. But my favorite map is probably Bank Job on Heist. And for Conquest, it's somewhere between a toss-up of either being Dust Bowl or maybe... I know Culprit apparently doesn't like this map, but Downtown's been growing on me as I play it more and try to figure out, what are the ins and outs of that map. Although it's probably way too freaking huge for what it needs to be.
It could almost be the pro market of it. In other words, like we all hated that, but it's too big.
Yeah. I would have to say that my worst one right now is Dust Bowl, just because of the helicopters.
Yep.
Every time I played that map so far, and I was talking to Tim or Darkness 429 about this a few weeks ago. And I'm like, or last week rather. I was like, it's ridiculous. Like you can't do anything because of the helicopter. He's like, well, just get the Stinger. And it's like you were saying the other day, you can't get to the Stinger. Right. It's impossible.
Locked in.
Yep.
You can't get to it.
It's outside your spawn. There's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly. And you just
unless you've locked it in your trunk and you have one back there, and you're like, please God, let him be stupid.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's probably going to be Dust Bowl as the worst one, then Riptide, just because it's so big and there's not a whole lot of cover on it to begin with. It's very wide open, and then Everglades after that, and Everglades annoys the living shit out of me because of the swamp. Oh my God.
You apparently haven't been eaten by alligators yet.
I saw one. I saw one, but I didn't get a chance to. Can you shoot them?
I think so.
Oh, I didn't know that was
pretty sure you can.
Chat? What say you, chat?
I've seen them driving a car in Hotwire, because I've only played that map really in Hotwire for the most part.
You've seen the alligator driving a car in Hotwire?
I've seen them while driving the car, but I didn't really know I was afraid of them.
Nerf alligators.
You probably have to hit them with a car, and then you get the alligator mask. That's probably how that works.
They take no damage. Oh, wow. Well, they are 200 million years old. I don't think that they would take damage.
All right, guys, I think that's going to about wrap it up. We have sprinkled some competitive in here, so I'm not going to actually do a whole, like you said, it wasn't a huge block we needed to do, and we have kind of addressed it as we went along. We're hitting about the 2-hour mark anyway, and like I said, YouTube likes to chop it at 2 hours, so I'd like to kind of keep the show proper. We're going to go down offline. We're going to come right back. You guys, you hang out, you can leave, whatever. That's up to you guys, but we'll kind of answer questions because we haven't really talked directly to the chat, but we had a lot to cover. It was a lot to talk about, and we're kind of all verbose, so... thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you guys for carrying the conversation. My 3-year-old is still awake. It's midnight. I am ripped. My wife is I don't know if it's my fault for being loud or if he took a big nap with me today because he's been sick and now he's still awake apparently. So I don't even know what's going on.
That was your mistake. You should have shook him every couple minutes to keep him awake.
Should have given him the cocktail, I think, right? I just keep hearing about him. I corner my eye. And I was like, I don't know what he's up to. It's going to be a nightmare tomorrow. So thank you to Socio in the chat for kind of giving everybody's links out. I really appreciate that. He's kind of been linking you guys out through YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that. That's awesome. A lot of new faces. I attribute that to you gentlemen. But yeah, I mean, I'm feeling Hardline. I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of shrugging my shoulders. I'm not taking it so seriously. I think that's kind of people have to have an open mind. If you're hating on Battlefield 4 and you rage quit Battlefield 4 6 months ago, I don't think this is the game for you. It's got a lot of the same carryover issues, but if you're just looking for some fun and some new maps and a new experience, I think you could have some fun here.
I'll say this in closing.
Yeah, close it
Battlefield
up.
4 was frustrating. Battlefield Hardline is actually fun.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't get frustrated when I play Hardline. Like when something stupid happens, it's like, oh, it's something stupid. Then I go on and play.
Because I think your expectation levels are different, yeah.
No, it was just frustrating.
Yeah. We've talked about that where I don't think Hardline takes itself too seriously.
Right.
That's a game.
And it makes it easier for you to just be like, whatever.
Yeah, because I've had some moments that would really rage me in other games. I'm like, that was like I jumped out of a car and got run over by the tanker truck on Hotwire. I'm like, you know what? There's nothing to be done about that.
Right, that's exactly what I am. You just gotta accept it. Or some of the things they say, like, every time the guy says med pack here, I just laugh. I think it's funny.
Med kit.
Yeah.
I'll wait 10 seconds and spawn back.
It's hilarious. So Darth, what do you got in closing? What would you tell someone who's on the fence about buying Hardline right now? Because I get that all day.
Battlefield 4, when it launched, was in a much worse condition than Hardline is right now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And if we cover even a quarter of the ground that Battlefield 4 has, Hardline will be in really good shape. I'm enjoying it so far. I'll continue to play it over the next, month and a half or however long it takes to get some more content out for it. But yeah, I mean, If you're a Battlefield fan, you should probably play this game. If you're a fan of fast-paced games, you should probably give this game a shot. Origin has their refund policy, right? It's like 24 hours. You can refund.
48? 24?
Is it 48?
Read the fine print, right?
Yeah. You can always give it a shot that way. And if you decide it's not the game for you, then you just say, nope, not the game for me.
Yeah, it is pretty nice about that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a sale here. I've been saying it for a while. The PC numbers are not so great, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a price reduction on the PC side anyway. Apparently, we'll see. But all right, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, I'm gonna take the stream down. We're gonna come right back up. I'm gonna use facilities, and we'll talk to the chat for a little while. Guys, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. And,
Thanks for having me.
Take care, guys.
Thanks.